Hi, this is Anita from 5 Minutes with Art. One of the reasons why I love to study so much about many of these great artists who lived is as you get into their lives and as you study about them, you see that so many of them struggled so much. We so many times think that, life must have been easy for them. They're successful. Everybody knows about them. But as you get into their lives, you realize that many of them had huge struggles. An example of one such artist was Francisco Goya, and he is a Spanish artist. He actually turned deaf. It was Aristotle that said, no great mind ever existed without a touch of madness. So a lot of people thought he was almost kind of mad, was kind of a little bit insane. If you look at some of his paintings, especially from the Black period, some of them look outright kind of like this was painted by a madman or somebody who was insane. But Francisco Goya was a fabulous artist. Before his illness, he worked primarily centered around Spain's elite. And he basically was painting portraits and, some whimsical scenes and other things like that. But he, was sort of like, this artist. But after his illness, he suddenly changed and he became known as sort of like the artist for the mad and the insane. A lot of his work, especially some of his, work that's considered the Black work, really showed kind of a bit disturbing, some of his work that he had. What Francisco Goya really shows us though, with his deafness and it is how the experiences we have in life as an artist or as a human being can affect us all. Because, before he had this problem, and a lot of people say that his deafness maybe happened through, he had some kind of stroke, that, it caused him to turn deaf. He was permanently deaf. And, I'm sure there are other things that were involved with that. He was bedridden for quite a while. That this, of course, changed him, changed his art, changed his viewpoint on life, and it changed who he was as a person. The Black paintings were actually paintings which were painted in his home in Spain. And he painted some paintings that brilliant, but in a way were probably quite disturbing, especially for the the period of the time. The paintings were considered Black paintings, not because the colors were Black, even though he did use black a lot, blacks and grays, and it sort of had these colors have this blackness about them. But they're considered the Black paintings more because of the subject matter of how the paintings are sort of dark and gloom and doom and what they sort of betray in the paintings itself. And this sort of Blackness went into many of his other paintings where during this time, this was Napoleon was coming into Spain and he painted a lot about the war. He painted, a lot about, how the war was affecting people, how people were being killed. He was showing, some of the brutality of the war itself, which could also be considered a bit of a sort of like Black painting or a Black subject. One of the most famous paintings is of Saturn devouring his son. And it is quite of a ghastly painting, but it's a brilliant painting too. Especially when you realize that, this painting was painted in like between 1819 to 1823. So this was before all the modern art was taking place. This is before, the Impressionists. This is before all these other painters that he was painting these kind of paintings. I have several blog posts that we've written on Francisco Goya's art, but one of them is titled Madness and Deafness, How Illness Transformed Francisco Goya's Art. So if you get a chance, we'll put a link for you for the blog post so you can be able to see it and be able to see how this what happened to him in his life, how it changed him, how it's affected him, and how, essentially things that happen to us personally, that they affect us. And that's really what the story can be learned from all of this, from Francisco Goya's art, is that what happens to us, the experiences we have can change us. And in this case, these experiences made him even a greater artist. This is Anita from 5 Minutes with Art. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you joining with us 5 minutes every week to learn something about art. We love art. We love to learn about art. And we appreciate you joining with us on our journey to learn and discover art. Thank you so much. And thank you those that help make this possible, especially Rico for making this all possible. Thank you.